What up guys, I'm back with another debunk video in my debunk series. Now this is going to be my second time I'm covering Saitama. In the last video I covered him overpowering hyperspace and also being able to destroy multiple galaxies with just the residual energy from that feat. Now this one I'm going to be talking about Saitama's argument that a lot of Saitama fans are using, that he was able to go back in time and stop Garo before he became Cosmic Garo by sheer strength alone. Apparently he was able to generate so much power with his punch that it broke the boundaries of time and space and allowed him to transport all the way back in time to hit Cosmic Garo and take him out. So that's the argument they've been using, and it's completely wrong. It's completely not true. Just like in the last video where I pointed out that they added extra statements and arguments and information that was never at all there at all, and they just made it up. They did it again, but this time it is here, but they're just completely lying about what happened. So what they're saying is that Saitama was able to go back in time and stop Garo by sheer strength alone. He was able to generate so much punch with his power that it broke down the boundaries of space and time and allowed him to go back in there, taking him out. But not only was he able to take him out, by doing this, it created a branch in the timeline, creating two timelines. But the reason why we don't have two separate timelines is the fact that Saitama's punch not only was able to transport him back in time by generating so much energy that it created a split between two timelines, but also that the energy had so much extra energy on top of it that it was able to also destroy the other timeline that Saitama came from, and by destroying it, it kept this remaining timeline. So that's their argument that they're using. But if you read the story once again, if you go through chapters 168 and you see it, that's not at all what happened. Both those situations or arguments that they're making are incorrect. Now, before I get into that, I do want to give a big shout out to a new subscriber of mine by the name of Overvoid. So big thank you to you for subscribing to the channel. Now, getting back into it, right? So what we're going to be debunking is, one, the statement that Saitama was able to travel back in time through sheer power alone and through a punch, and two, the argument that they're stating that by doing this it created a split in the timeline and then he shattered the other timeline and then just left this one with his power. That is just incorrect. Now if you actually check the story, what happened was, after this after the fight and Saitama beating Cosmic Garo realized that his mistake. He realized that he ended up killing all the people on Earth, and he wanted to be a villain, but he also wanted to do it in a heroic way. But he ended up killing everybody, and he regretted this, and he wanted to change the future. So he wanted to change the future, and how was he going to do this? He wanted to do it through using a technique where he was able to go back in time, but he couldn't do it since he wasn't powerful enough. So he wanted Saitama to do it, because Saitama and Cosmic Garo are kind of similar, where they have the ability to copy other abilities and improve upon it. The only difference is Saitama has it to a higher degree. So he stated that he has the ability to kind of do it, but he can't really master it because he's just not as proficient. So he tells Saitama, hey look, since you have the ability to copy abilities, copy my ability, and when you copy my ability, then you can use it, and since you can improve it higher, you can actually be able to go back in time. I can't do it. I have some a little bit of just of I can do it, but I just can't fully do it like you. And he himself states, as we go on and see, he says, I'm going to pass to you the most powerful technique, ultimate technique of my fist of invasion. I haven't even managed to pull off myself even after stealing God's power. And then he said, try it out. So you should be able to copy my technique and surpass it even further. So right there already, that debunks that argument. And I've seen people using the whole thing that, oh yeah, that Saitama was able to do this through sheer power. And I've seen some people having the counter argument saying, no, he didn't do this through sheer power. He copied Cosmic Garo's technique and then used it. So it was from him copying an ability from Cosmic Garo, and this is done through an ability, not through sheer power alone. And their argument is like, no, that's not the case, it was through sheer power. But clearly, from what I showed you right there from the manga panel itself, Cosmic Garo literally states verbatim that this is a technique that I created, that I can't really use this. You have the ability to copy abilities, so copy my technique and ability, and then you would have the ability to, have it in a complete form because you're able to progress in power a lot better and use it a lot better. So I'm going to teach you. And we see even further on is he's teaching him, saying, jump straight into learning the ultimate secrets that are itting for a guy like you. Or I think this is itching. Itting for a guy like you now watching closely. If you can master the power of the gods without taking God's hand, it's you. So further showing that he's teaching him the technique on how to do it, not that he did it through sheer power. I don't know where the fuck you guys got the whole he punched hard and then he did it. That was never shown or stated. And we see even further, as it says, when all the subatomic particles inside Saitama did this, now Saitama get going and defeat it. So he goes back in time and goes to punch Cosmic Garo. As we do see, as he hits Cosmic Garo directly, and it says that punch that abnormally powered up on a moon of Jupiter went back in time and landed before it was thrown. So they mean by landed before it was thrown because this is before he even came into the fight. So he got stronger on Jupiter. He was able to copy abilities and surpass it by a higher level. Garo saw that, and Garo's like, you know what? I can't do it myself, so you can copy my ability, you can go back, and then you can punch him. And this is when he punches him. So people are using this punch right here when he hits Garo in the face as the context of him punching through the boundaries of time and going back in time with the power, and then also shattering the other timeline, which is not true. He only punched him after he used the technique. He copied his technique, he used it, he went back in time. Then once when he went already back in time, then he hit him. It was not before that. And that this scenario right here where he hit him is not what created it. What they're trying to show or take out of context and lie to trick people that don't know that much about One Punch Man. When they see this image, they're thinking, oh, that punch must have hit him so hard that it generated energy, that it warped space and time and transported him back in time, preventing him from doing that. And then it created a separation in the timeline and then shattered that timeline, right? No, that's not what happened. And then the whole separation of the timeline stuff, that's also incorrect, as we see later on what happens and what is stated, as we see both Saitama from the past and the future. Saitama from the past gets picked up, Saitama from the future gets pulled, and they get both pulled and collide into each other. Once when they get collide, they combine back. So since future, Saitama is from the future, his timeline doesn't exist anymore because he affected the past and he changed what happened in the past. That will change the future. Since he changed the past, the future has changed, and since the future has changed, he is no longer going to exist because, well, he's from the future. So the Saitama that we see this one is still from the one from the past because the future timeline is replaced and removed due to the effects of what he did right here, and then they combine him. So no, there was not a shattering of another timeline. It didn't create a separate timeline. It completely destroyed that timeline. All it did was, once when you affect time and go back in time and change what happened in the past, that will theoretically change what happened in the future and remove that future. So once the future is removed, the person who came from that future will also be removed. Now, they won't just disappear. The way they get removed is by combining back with their past self, because now that's the original timeline, and that's how linear the timeline is going in the path. So now you're merging with him, and once when you merge with him, then everything will go back to normal and there will be no time paradox. Now, time traveling can be a little confusing. There's two types of theories of it. There's the alternate timeline one where we see like in Dragon Ball, and then there's the linear time one. Now the linear time has a little bit of different ways that they can handle it too. Now the alternate timeline one is pretty simple. When you go back in time through time machine or through a technique, you're not technically going back in your own timeline. You create a separate branch in the timeline and the time stream. So when you're going there, you're not going to your own universe. You're going to another universe that you created and another multiverse, but it is separated through timelines. It's not a separate parallel universe like in multiverse theory, but it's a separate alternate timeline itself. If you search up alternate timelines compared to parallel universes or a parallel multiverse or just a multiverse is completely different than an alternate timeline. So that is how it works in Dragon Ball. But in One Punch Man, that's not how it works. When you go back in time, if you affect what happens in the past, it will change the future. Now, there's two ways of they will do this. If you do, affect the past, and this is where you get the whole cause and effect thing. People keep on mentioning cause and effect and not understanding what it means. What cause and effect means is whatever is the cause of a certain situation will have an effect in the future. So if you change that cause, the effect will be changed. It's pretty simple. All it means is if you go back in time and change what happened, then the effect from what happened won't happen. So what happened was Cosmic Garo he went from Garo to Cosmic Garo, and he got insanely more powerful. So his power got an upgrade, and it increased to the point where it got dangerous and ended up killing a lot of people. So to prevent that from happening, Saitama went back and knocked him out before he had all that power. And by hitting him this hard, this also released all the energy that he had at that moment too. So that ends up preventing him from gaining that destructive level of power and killing those people. So that was the cause, him getting stronger, and the effect was a bunch of people dying and the whole, future being kind of fucked up. So to prevent that, you change what happened that caused that. So that's what cause and effect is. A lot of people try to make it sound like it's more impressive or more like OP by saying, oh, he changed cause and effect. Yes, if you were able to travel back in time and change what happens, you've already changed the effect. You already done something with cause and effect. You don't need to have power beyond time and space. You just need to have the ability or the power to go back in time. And then when you go back in time, whatever you change, you're changing cause and effect. Even through a time machine, you could do, surpassing cause and effect or changing cause and effect. It doesn't have to do with raw power unless you have raw strength that can somehow manipulate time, which would be weird, right? So there's that, and I already disproved that. So that there's nothing really to talk about that. I will do the conclusion on this one, like the last one, and I'll talk about going through it more thoroughly, explaining what was wrong with all those arguments. But there's also an additional argument that I want to point out, because this also explains a little bit more of the One Punch Man universe and how it works. And also, I've heard this argument too. Somebody else used this argument against me, not in my YouTube videos, somewhere else. I had some debate with somebody. Oh, not like a debate, but I had some disagreement with him, and the guy stated that, well, actually, it stated that there's a multiverse in One Punch Man, right? And since there's a multiverse, that means that going based off of multiverse theory is based off of your actions. So every action is going to create a different, possible universe, meaning that there's infinite possibilities, right? But his argument was that in Saitama's case, when he fought against Cosmic Garo, no matter what reality there is, no matter what possibility is, there was no possibility or reality where Saitama won except for this universe. So that was his argument. Now, why is that impressive? Because his argument was that the fact that he was able to, of all these other universes and the multiversal law, because the whole thing about multiverse is possibilities, there's different universes. But even with all those other infinite possibilities, there's one cosmic law that's consistent, and that is that Saitama will never beat Cosmic Garo except for this one. So how was he able to do that? The only way he'll be able to do that, to go against a cosmic law, is to be surpassing that cosmic law, meaning that Saitama in this universe surpassed every other possibility, because in every possibility he's supposed to lose except for this one, meaning that he surpassed fate, destiny, time and space, and the cosmic laws as a whole on a multiversal conceptual level, right? Meaning that he's beyond a multiversal concept. If he's beyond a multiversal concept, then that means he would be beyond multiverse itself. So his argument was this would get him into hyperversal ranges or even outerversal ranges. But that's not true. If you actually read the story, it actually says the opposite, and it's incorrect. So I'll get into it, but it is very long, so I'm gonna be reading quite a bit. So as Saitama and Saitama and I forgot what his friend's name is, Genos, as they meet up again, apparently he's wondering what happened with the whole situation. He knows that there's something up, and he wonders why Saitama has his core in his hand, and as he touches his core, he gets all of his memories back on what happened in that other timeline. So now he understands the scenario, and he starts to explain to Saitama what is happening. He says it's merely a hypothesis based on the so-called parallel worlds or multiverse theory, but I suspect that the core came from one of the countless parallel worlds that diverge from a result of your actions. I do not know what point this divergence occurs, when this observation makes a decision or the observer takes action, but it has been confirmed that a new separated from the original you, the start of your time travel, and merged with you of this timeline within the moment was completed. The timing of the separation and merging may be a clue to the timing of when the parallel world split off. Back to what I was saying, in the future where there's a core comes from, I was killed by Garo. Even if you were holding back a great deal, there is no way that you could have been outplayed by Garo, no matter how many parallel worlds you exist. In fact, the events surrounding the core have made it clear that even if the worst outcome had occurred with the death of me and all the other heroes right before our eyes, you would have transcended time and space to save us all. Your ability to transcend and manipulate the laws of causality is now proof positive of your complete flawless sense of heroism in this, and then everything else he's just talking about stuff. Now there's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to this area right here. One, I want to talk about the fact that the whole multiverse theory and his explanation of it, why it's incorrect. Two, I want to talk about the fact that this also plays credence into the whole argument of Saitama being past or beyond space and time, and his power rivaling that or surpassing that. And then also I want to talk about the fact that, the other guy's argument where he was stating that the cosmic law was apparently that Saitama was always supposed to lose, but this time he won, meaning that he was able to beat the cosmic laws, meaning this version of Saitama surpasses that. First, let's talk about the multiverse theory. That is not true. Multiverse theory, it is true that whatever our actions or inactions are will create a separate universe, right? So if I decide to eat breakfast, it'll create a universe where I ate breakfast. If I decide not to eat breakfast, it'll create a universe where I didn't eat breakfast. So it's based off of our actions. So that's why there's an infinite possibility, because no matter what we're doing, we're always doing something, and there's always some outcome of choice. And if there is a choice, or we're making a decision or doing something or an action, we are going to be creating multiple different timelines where we did something or we didn't do something, right? But that is only through our own actions, right? What Saitama did was kind of an action, but it wasn't directly the action that created this split. It was him literally manipulating time, which is different. Like I stated before, multiverse theory and alternate timelines are different. Alternate universe or parallel universes are different than an alternate timeline. The clear-cut difference is when you create a parallel universe through multiverse theory, it's through your actions. When you create an alternate timeline, it can only be created through time manipulation. Your actions don't really create a separate timeline or alternate reality. You're gonna it's gonna be just one, until you mess with time, like with Trunks when he went back in time through the time machine. Then there is directly you affecting time itself or doing something to go against time that's creating this diversion between the realities, and it splits it off into its own reality. So multiverse theory does not have to do with time traveling. You don't have to mess with time to create other universes. Just any action can do that. Whereas alternate timelines are only created through the messing with time itself. You cannot create an alternate timeline by just your actions. You have to literally manipulate time itself and go through a time machine, or have the ability to go through time, right, and go back in time. That's what it would cause it. So that is incorrect. Second of all, him stating that in every universe that he's meant to lose doesn't meant to win doesn't really make any sense either. It doesn't make any sense either, due to the fact that if there's an infinite possibilities, there should be ones where he does lose, and I just think that he doesn't know fully well, and he's probably just glazing. This is just his hypothesis, right? But also this goes against the guy's argument, because the guy's argument is, no, actually in every universe he's supposed to lose except for this one. But that's not the case. It's actually consistent with a cosmic law. Then he would be following the rules, because by Cosmic Garo's argument, if we were to take it as serious and legit, that means that in every universe he's supposed to win. So technically he didn't do anything special. He didn't break any cosmic laws or go against the laws of the multiverse, because this is actually a part of it. So if he lost, that would have technically have gone against the cosmic laws. All he's doing is actually following what the laws were, and the laws were he's supposed to always win. So that would completely disprove it. The guy completely, I don't know if there's a lot of words, so he probably misread it and read it wrong, or he was just straight up fucking lying and trying to bullshit like a lot of these One Punch Man fans and Saitama Glazers are doing to overhype his power. And then also this explains what happened with Saitama and the branch and split. He directly himself states that his action to go back in time created that split. So like I said, it wasn't through his sheer power created the split and destroyed it. It was him going back in time. Now let's talk about the whole thing about transcending space and time and manipulating and going past that. That's not through sheer power like a lot of people are trying to use. That's through his technique, because we know he has the ability to go back in time and mess with the cause and effect, which he mentioned right here. And I already explained that, right? The laws of causality is whenever you mess with like the cause of something, it will change the effect. So it's like the butterfly effect, where whatever decision you make or little effects right here, whatever little cause you do right here will create either major or minor effects later on. So if you change those causes, then it will change those effects and it will have a major one. So it could either be through just normal time, where like let's say you a butterfly flaps his wings, then it will create it somewhere there, or through just messing with time itself, which that's what Saitama did. So he messed with causality by going back in time and messing with the cause that created that effect with Garo, which I already explained, right? So all he did was go back in time and change what happened, and that messes with the laws of causality itself. So it doesn't really mean anything. It just means that he time traveled, changed what happened, and that affected the causality. And him transcending space and time, other people have also pointed out the fact that when they say transcend space and time, it really depends on what they mean, the context, right? They could either transcend space and time through sheer power or through their own existence, like this being transcends space and time, or his power grew so much, or he's so powerful that he transcends space and time. But in this one, this is not due to sheer power. This is through his technique, because that's also another way you can transcend space and time. If you can manipulate space and time, technically you govern and control space and time. That means you would transcend space and time if you can control it, right? So the fact that he can manipulate time and go back in time and affect it however he wants, that would pretty much mean that he literally transcends space and time through time travel. So it's not through his sheer power. It's not through him being on a higher level of power, transcending space and time through power or existence. He surpassed it and transcended it through the technique of time traveling. And so technically, if you have a time machine, that time machine would transcend space and time. So if you're able to go through it, you'll be transcending space and time. So that's why you hear a lot of context from stories like a battle that transcends space and time, a story that transcends space and time. All that means is they went back in time and they affected the possible futures or another reality, and that's affecting space and time. So that would transcend space and time because it has an effect on it. So that's it. That's all I have for this one. For the conclusion, all I would say is, right, for the first one, he did not go back in time through sheer power or through his punch. He went back in time by copying Cosmic Garo. Cosmic Garo created a technique. He did not know, he couldn't use the technique because he wasn't strong enough. He told Saitama, hey, you have the ability to copy my ability, so copy mine. But the difference between you is you can improve upon it a lot better and actually have a completed version, so you can actually go back in time, which he did, and then he hit him and then prevented that. So no, it was not through sheer power. It was through a copying an ability, then using that ability to prevent it. So that also ties in with the whole cause and effect thing. Then when it comes to the whole statement of he separated the branches of time through raw power and then destroyed it, it's also incorrect due to the fact that that didn't happen. The time manipulation didn't happen because of his strength. It happened because of his power, that he was not the power, through his ability that he was able to do that. So if he didn't have that ability, he wouldn't have been able to do that. And when you go back in time, it has two ways of doing it in the reverse. Either it, as we see, and I didn't get into this, sorry, I forgot about this, but the two ways that you see it when it comes to linear time, when it comes to the future timeline, what happens is, like if you've seen Back into the Future, if you go back into the past and change the events in the past, it will erase the future. So the future will be erased, and the person that came from the future will just be set back into their own time. So if you go back in time, let's say you change something from the past, it will erase your future. It would either erase you from the past and send you back into the future, but it's going to be an alternate future that got changed. So it's no longer the future that you remember. The future got changed, and you'll get your memories back. So you would either get erased and go back to your future, but it's a newer one that you've changed, right? Or it just changes the future and you are set back to there. It's like, what the hell just happened? Or the second one, where they did in this one, is if there are two people from two separate timelines, so that you have your past self and your future self, when you complete that mission, your past and your future self should combine, because now that you completed the mission and you changed the effect, that means that your future is no longer what it was. So it's gone, and since now it's gone, that means that you have no more of a purpose being there. So instead of you being erased and sent back into your time, all that happens is your timeline is the timeline in the future is gone and it's changed. We don't know what it is, and now you are stuck here, but you're only stuck here for a brief moment because you're going to merge back with your past self, because this is his timeline. So you merge back with him, and then it's no longer, you know, two separate versions of future and past self. The past self takes over what the future version's memories and him imbued into him with, you know, what happened. So he will keep the power of his future self and the knowledge of it, but he will not be from the future. He will be still from the past. So that's how Saitama gets to keep his power and some of the knowledge. It's just that he's kind of an idiot, but luckily, you know, Genos is. I'm pretty sure his name's Genos. Genos's core was able to record it, so they got lucky in that case. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.